Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about how to buy real estate with no money or credit. So we all know that most millionaires are made through real estate investing, right? So if that is the case, what's holding you back? For most of us, it's not having the money or credit to get started. Although that's a concern, throughout this video today, I'm going to show you exactly how to buy real estate with no money or no credit, and how I did my very first deal the exact same way. So to get started, I want to help you understand a handful of things. First, is it really possible to get started in real estate with no money or no credit? I know it sounds impossible, but I'm willing to show you today exactly why it is possible. I'm also going to talk about some of the character traits that you need to get started with no money or no credit. Finally, I'm going to go through 4 strategies that you can do with no money or no credit and show you exactly what I did to get started as well. If you're ready, let's go. First off, is it really possible to get started in real estate with no money or no credit? And I'm here to tell you that it is 100% possible to do just that. Matter of fact, that's exactly how I got started in real estate. Now, I understand there's a lot of misconceptions when people say get started in real estate with no money or no credit. But really what they're talking about most of the time is little money. Right? Because let's talk about it. What are the costs to get started in real estate? The biggest one that most people talk about is a down payment. So when you purchase a property, almost every piece of property that you buy requires a down payment for the most part. And that's really where the big expense comes from. Because let's say you're buying a $500,000 property, even if you're living in it yourself, they might require 3 to 5% down. That's going to be $15,000 to $25,000 to put down on that piece of property in order for you to purchase it if you live there yourself, if it's owner occupied. And still, that's a significant amount of money, $15,000 to $25,000. However, if you're looking to buy an investment property, you're looking between 20 to 30%. Now that changes the game. That's going to be anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000. And so when we talk about no money, we're talking about ways to avoid that down payment altogether. There are going to be some other expenses. There's going to be some closing costs. There might be an appraisal fee. But with these, we're talking hundreds of dollars, or maybe $1,000 or $2,000. We're not talking tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So people that look at it this way and realize that they can get started with little to no money or no credit, these are individuals that don't let anything hold them back, right? So it is a way to just jump in. You're not holding yourself back because you're saying to yourself, I don't have tens of thousands of dollars. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're letting that hold you back from getting started when there truly are ways that I'll show you here to get started with very little money. And I know there's going to be people that say, this guy's full of it. There's no way you can do this, but I'm going to show you exactly how we do it with some strategies that I've used in my life to get started with no money or no credit. But before I do that, I want to talk about some of the character traits that it will require of you to get started if you're willing to do it. First off, you've just got to have an attitude to make it happen. You've got to be that person that says, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. You're the type of person that focuses on things you can control rather than worrying about things you can't control. You've got to get out of your own head. You can't let things hold you back, especially limiting beliefs or mental blocks where you say, listen, I know so-and-so did it, but I can never do that. I'm not as good as this person or that person. You've got to stop that. You've got to get out of your own head and realize that you can make it happen. I like to think if this person was able to do it, I can probably do it. And that type of attitude is going to propel you forward as a character trait that you need to get started with no money and no credit. And most importantly, you can't play that victim role. You can't assume that everything bad is happening to you because it's you. You've got to take accountability for things that happen. And as I mentioned earlier, focus on the things that you can control. If you have this type of mindset and you're one of those optimistic people that truly believes that good things can happen, that is the base you need to really get started in real estate, whether it's with no money, little money, or no credit, or just getting started at all. Because throughout my career, I've met so many people that they got started in real estate with little to no money in real estate, and a lot of them had bad credit, but they were willing to make it happen because they had the mindset to push forward and not let any obstacle get in their way. Matter of fact, I remember one of the first books I read about getting started in real estate was No Money Down by Robert Allen. It was amazing to see what he did and how he got started in real estate with little to no money out of his pocket. It was almost like a revolution to me. Like I didn't even know that existed, but when I read that this individual had done it and how he did it, it was amazing and helped me realize that I could do it myself. Now, let's talk strategies. The first 2 I'm going to talk about really can be done with no money out of your pocket. The first one is contract assignment. This is exactly how I did my first deal in real estate. I had found some fourplexes in a town that was growing, and I had some investors, some good friends of mine that knew I was looking to get involved in real estate, and they were willing to put forth the money if I found the deals. I found the deals, and I'd found fourplexes, 8 of them, and they had retailed at $275,000. But because I was purchasing 8, the group that I was buying them from was willing to discount them from $275 down to $255 because they they wanted them sold right now so they could finish the rest of their development. Now, as I talked to my partners, they were super excited about this. And I went and met with the seller, and they came back and said, we've met as a group. We'd actually like you to take down 14 of these fourplexes. And if you're willing to do that, we will drop the price even further down to $245,000. I was super excited. I said, yes, I signed. I said, let's go. I went back to my partners and they said, you know what? We only have the money to do 8 of them. We're sorry, but we'd still love that price at $245,000. So I was in a challenging situation. Ironically, at the same time, there was a gentleman I knew very well that said, hey, I know you're buying some fourplexes up there. Hey, why don't you get me some? Find me some of those. And it worked out perfectly where I said, listen, I've got 6 of them that retail at $275 that I could turn around and I'll sign the contract for you at $255. I negotiated it down to $255,000 and I'll assign those to you. He was super excited. He did that deal in a heartbeat and I made $60,000, $10,000 per fourplex because I had signed the contract that I had for $245,000 to an individual willing to buy them for $255,000. It was a win for him. It was a win for me. It was a win for the sellers because all 14 of those fourplexes got taken down at the same time. And because we did that, they were able to take that money from the sale of 14 fourplexes to finish the rest of their development. And that took 0 credit and 0 money out of my pocket. And the other way is part of that same story I just told, right? It's finding investors. If you're finding the deal, I promise you, if you're good at going out and searching for good deals in real estate, I promise you that you'll be able to find people that are willing to invest into it. Matter of fact, I would invest into a great deal, right? If somebody's out there scouring the internet or driving for dollars or looking at properties that look distressed and putting offers on those, and those offers get accepted here when most people think they might be here, of course you're going to be able to find investors that are willing to invest in those properties with you. And once again, that is a no money out of your pocket deal. The other 2 strategies fall under a category called seller finance. And I think over the next 5 to 8 years, this strategy is going to be super important. And why is that? If you think about it, the previous 10 years, interest rates were probably sub 4, sub 3. Even some got them for less than 2% on their home. So you have all these people that own a home or own a property with an interest rate that is historically lowest it's ever been in the history of our country. And so why would they sell that? Only unless they had to. But now you've got investors or individuals who want to come in and buy property in this market, and interest rates are pushing 7, 8%. Now I understand they might have come down a little bit recently, but still, even if you're at 6, 7, 8%, the mortgage on a property at 2% versus 6 or 7% is really almost double. It's huge. So if there's an opportunity to go in and do seller finance, that is going to be the strategy that's going to win out over the next 5 to 8 years. And there's 2 strategies under seller finance that I want to talk about. One is called sub 2 or subject to real estate investing. And what is that? It's a method where the purchaser or the buyer takes over the existing mortgage payments of the seller without involving any banks. In other words, you purchase that property subject to the current financing that's in place. And it allows you to bypass a lot of the traditional banking processes. And this strategy can help investors secure properties with little to no money down. Now, why would a seller do this? A seller would do this mainly because they don't have any other options, right? They can't sell their home. Nobody wants to come in and buy this home at 7, 8%. But if you can come in and say, listen, I'm willing to get you some money into your hands right now to get this property and I'll take over all your payments. If they're in a distressed financial situation and they don't have to make their mortgage payment anymore, this can be a good strategy for them. So subject to is a great strategy. And I'll spend a whole video talking more about this in the future, but just know it's a great strategy. An individual that I really follow, that I enjoy his education, Pace Morby, talks a lot about this. And the final strategy is one called novation. Now, you probably have never even heard of this, but it's an amazing strategy. It's similar to subject to, but this is how it works. Let's say you have somebody that owns a home, right? They've got a good interest rate and they want to sell the home. Let's call it, say, a $500,000 home. Let's say that maybe they could get that for it, but the market being what it is, maybe they can only get $425,000 for it. But let's say that they're willing to get $450,000. And you can go in, you can negotiate with this individual. Let's say that you say, listen, I'm willing to give you $400,000 for this home, but here's how novation works. What I need to do is I need to take over the home, and it's all in the agreement under a novation agreement, and I'm willing to give you $450,000. What I need to do is have ownership of the property so I can go in and put some money into it in order to fix it up to get it to the standard where I could sell it for. Now, you knowing this, you might say, listen, with a few tweaks, with some remodel, this thing could probably sell for $550,000. So if you were to put, say, $50,000 into it, maybe through an investor or a friend or a family member, and you go and you rehab this property to where you could turn around and sell it for $525,000, $550,000, you sell it and then you pay this individual their $450,000. It's a great way to take over a home. Another way I like to explain it, let's say that you saw a car that was for sale, right? It was a, say, Toyota Camry, and the person was selling it for $3,000, and you thought, man, if this thing just had a few things fixed on it, I could probably sell it for $4,000. So I'll pay that guy $3,000 for that car, but I'm going to take it, I'm going to fix it up, I'm going to add some things to it, and I'll sell it for $4,000, but give him his $3,000 to make the difference. So novation is really going in there, being able to beautify or improve the project or home and being able to sell it for a higher amount, but still offering the seller, once you sell it, to the price they were hoping for in the first place. Now, these are a few strategies that work for me that I really enjoy, but I'd love to hear your feedback and your thoughts. So please comment below. I'd love to answer you. Also, as always, I've got a free gift for you, aaron'sfreetraining.com. Click on the link below. It's a short-term rental calculator where if you put in the numbers, it'll let you know whether it's a good deal or not in today's market for short-term rentals. Once again, thanks for stopping by and visiting. Have an awesome day.